Optimizing video playback, how to choose between streaming and downloading. Hi everyone, Leo Notenboom here for askleo.com. This is a question I get from time to time. Here's an example. Hi Leo, so I need to understand something. We've done the illegal thing as we homeschool our children, and I downloaded a tool to be able to download YouTube clips so that we can replay them for our kids during the times that we school them. There actually are some good things on YouTube. My question relates to this. If I download and save a file of, say, 6 minutes, it's sometimes 130 megabytes of data. If I watch the file normally through YouTube, does it also eat up 130 megabytes of data? So what's cheaper, viewing it normally or downloading it to have it to view plenty of times? So this actually is somewhat more complicated than you might think. On the surface, everything else being equal, downloading a file once and streaming or viewing a file online once are equivalent. They download essentially the same information, the contents of the video in whatever quality you've chosen to download it as. There may be some differences in overhead information, but the bulk of the information for a video is the video itself. So if you're downloading it, you download it once. If you're streaming it, you're essentially copying the entire file once as well. However, there are two things at play here. One is your original question about if I'm downloading it, I can watch it as many times as I want without having to download it again. And indeed, that's the big advantage of being able to download things, because every time you stream a video, you're downloading it again. You're actually copying those bits across your internet connection every time you stream. That's why, like I said, being able to download a file is preferable if you know that it is something you're going to watch again and again and again, and your internet connection, for example, may not be up to snuff. Now, that actually takes us into an interesting area, because all internet connections are not made the same. In some cases, internet connections are so slow that downloading is really your only option, because if it takes you, say, 2 hours to download a 1-hour film, then you're not going to be able to stream it, not at that resolution, because it just can't get the bits to your system fast enough. However, systems like YouTube, many of the streaming services, and many of the other video hosting systems actually try and figure out just how capable your internet connection is. What that means is that when you start to stream a video, they might run a little test. They might see how quickly can they actually get the bits from their servers to your PC. And then based on the results of that little test, they might adjust the video. What does that mean? Well, there are two dials that can be tweaked generally with video. They both boil down to quality. The normal high-definition videos that we're mostly used to, and that this video you're watching has been recorded in, is 1920 by 1080. It's HD. However, if it were smaller, say 1280 by 720, or even 640 by, I think it's 360, then that requires less data. You can stretch it to the same screen size, but the original resolution will be smaller, and thus the file itself, the amount of data that has to be downloaded, is less. The difference, though, is that when you stretch it to fill the same space, things look fuzzier, because you've had to essentially taken something that is designed for a small area on your screen, and you're just stretching it without any additional data. The other approach that can be used is to literally adjust the quality of the video. Much like JPEG files, still images have a number you can choose when you save them that says, I want this to be high resolution, high quality, or lower resolution but a smaller file. The same thing applies to video. You can choose when you create a video whether you want it to be big and crisp or smaller and maybe not as sharp. That's something that the streaming services can actually adjust on the fly. You may actually have seen this where you'll be watching a TV show and all of a sudden the video will simply become clearer or a little bit out of focus, a little bit fuzzier, one way or the other. That is typically the streaming service adjusting the quality of what it's delivering to you to compensate for what it perceives is your internet connection's capabilities. So at that point, streaming may be the same as downloading if you're streaming it once at the same resolution. Typically, when we download something, we tend to download it in the highest resolution possible. So chances are your download is going to be 1920 by 1080, say. If you stream at the same quality and the same size, then yeah, it's the same amount of data being transferred. But the streaming service may make some adjustments. They may make it smaller. They may make it lower quality. As such, then you're not downloading the same amount. And you, for example, might be able to watch the same video half a dozen times at a lower resolution and still not transfer as much data as the high resolution version of the file that you actually downloaded. Like I said, it's complicated. And that's why I say most of the time, if you're going to be watching something over and over again, if you can, legally, download it. Otherwise, yeah, if you've got a faster internet connection, none of this really matters because, as it turns out, with our current definition of broadband, a single high-definition video stream is usually well within its capabilities. So, particularly if you're on a slow internet connection, downloading might be the thing to do. Otherwise, if you've got a high-speed internet connection, kind of sort of up to you how you want to handle this. For updates, for comments, for links related to this topic and more, visit askleo.com/14353. I'm Leo Notenboom, and this is askleo.com. Thanks for watching.